What's up? It's your boy DJ Snatched, and welcome to episode 182 of the Real Me In, a movie podcast. On this week's episode, Joel and I will take out the week that was in movie news and movie trailers and review three films? What the fuck? Who approved this shit? We will be reviewing 3 films, one of which is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Joel will take over that one. I will be reviewing Snatched, God help us all, and Joel will cap it off by reviewing The Wall. What will we think about all 3 of these? Well, you're just going to have to sit down, relax, and find out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Real Me In, a movie podcast. Oh shit. Well, fuck. I don't know if I can do it this week. Joel, something has happened. I think you have snatched this episode. Did you see what I did there? Joel will be taking over right now, and the reason why I want to do this is because, first of all, he's got to practice at it, and second of all, he will most likely be doing a show next week by himself, and so I wanted to see how Joel would do. So I'm going to go ahead and take a back seat in this episode and just kind of go on Joel's command. So all of our beautiful listeners out there, Joel, the floor is yours.
Hey there, everybody. This is episode 182 of Reel Me In, a movie podcast, which you probably didn't ask for, but we're going to give it to you anyway. I'm your co-host, Joel Copling. That is Chase Lee. And we are going to... welcome to the show if you're new to it, by the way. Usually what we do is we talk about the news that's dropped in the week, about movies, trailers, and then joint reviews of the big release of the weekend. This weekend is a bit different, as you probably heard in the intro. I'm going to be reviewing 2 movies on my own, and Chase will be reviewing his own movie. That's just how it worked out. We didn't see any of the same ones. And then there won't be any box office results. I might institute that in some way into the reviews, but no proper box office results. So Chase, how are you doing today?
Oh, just another shit week. I don't like to lie to you guys. I like to basically be honest with you, because you guys are the best fucking listeners on the face of the planet. Let's get that straight. So if anyone tells you otherwise, well, you can tell them I said so. But yeah, it's been a pretty bad week. But my favorite parts, just about living in general, is actually doing this shit for you guys, and of course, my wonderful girlfriend. But so there's a couple things in life, Joel, that tickle my fancy, so to speak, and this is one of them. But how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a similarly eventful week. Some in good ways, some in bad ways. But yeah, I mean, it's every day's a ride for sure. This is the highlight of my week. I just got a new job this week, so that actually might be my highlight of the week. But
so Joel's like, well, my job is cool. Fuck the show. Take a back seat, show. But
but yeah, we got some news and some trailers that dropped. It's kind of a slow-ish week, not as slow as last week was, which was very, very slow. But we do have some superhero news that we're going to sort of bookend the news segment with, and I'm going to throw it over to Chase with the first bit. Chase, take it away.
All right, so, I'm a huge fan of that wonderful Mexican Peter Jackson, Guillermo del Toro, and I really do appreciate the visual aesthetic that this man brings to film and TV shows. The guy is a wonderment. He's just a little ball of knowledge, and when you sit down and like listen to interviews and stuff, like he just seems like a really creative dude, right? And so one of the films that he's most popular for is the Hellboy franchise, and I myself, I wouldn't really put them up as like my favorite like comic book adaptation, graphic novel adaptations out there. However, what makes or breaks the franchise is actually Hellboy himself. Ron Perlman is fantastic. He brings like that charisma, that douchebagness, the hero kind of essence. Like he's got it all. He's got a great personality and stuff. So you're probably thinking to yourself, "Oh my fucking god, is there a Hellboy 3?" No, actually, they're gonna reboot the whole thing, make it rated R, and make it with a different cast member. So sorry to get your hopes up. So the news is that Hellboy is going to be revamped. It's going to become an R-rated picture because, hey, that's what the kids are doing nowadays. And Hellboy is actually going to be played by David Harbour from Stranger Things, if you guys remember him. He is the sheriff on the show. His other works, I forgot, sorry. But anyways, he's most popular from Stranger Things, kind of like, of today. So, but yeah, this is an interesting piece of news. Now, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Hellboy, but I've kind of looked at the comic books and kind of like skimmed through them a little bit, like when I'm like in a comic book shop or whatever. Yes, I do that. I'm not just making this shit up to impress you guys. Every time when I go to Half Price Books, you will see me either in the movie section or the comic book section. Anyways, Hellboy is a really kind of just this awesome like looking world of like different creatures, and it looks so vibrant and beautiful and just very creative, and that's what kind of Guillermo del Toro kind of brought to it. So making it R-rated and making it kind of like this violent thing, which it is dealing with like pretty demonic creatures, so it makes sense to me. But David Harbour as Hellboy, I'm okay with it. Like I said, I think this is the type of like news to where you hear about it and you go, that's really great and all, but I need to see some footage. I need to see like what it's going to look like, how dark and gritty they're going to go. I need to see David Harbour in action. I need to see how he looks in the makeup. I need to see all of that before I can kind of judge upon it. But as far as like a news that has just dropped on my desk and it's just like, here you go, I'm curious. So yeah, Joel, are you a huge fan of the Hellboy movies that Del Toro has made, and do you think losing him and Ron Perlman will be kind of a detriment to the franchise going forward? And keep in mind, guys, the writer of this new Hellboy franchise is the actual creator himself from the comic books. I realize they're different mediums, but he is the creative head kind of going forward with it, which does give me some hope. So, Joel, what is your take on this?
I can't tell. It's interesting because I like David Harbour. He is great on Stranger Things. He also has a supporting role, or had, I should say, a supporting role on The Newsroom. He was the head anchor of the show that followed Jeff Daniels' show in that, and he was really good. And Neil Marshall, the director who's going to be in charge of the franchise, did The Descent back in 2006, which is that really freaky horror movie about the people in the cave. So it's got promising people behind it, and as you said, the creator of the character is going to be the showrunner, if you will, of that. But man, I love Del Toro's movies. I was a big fan of the first one, but it's that second one, man. I think that they're awesome. I'm a big fan of Del Toro's visual aplomb, to sound really pretentious. And so I think that, honestly, they need to somehow incorporate, and not in a derivative way, but somehow incorporate the Del Toro feel, because I think he's so perfect for that character. And you're right about Ron Perlman. I love that guy. He's one of my favorites. And he was great as Hellboy. That's where I was introduced to him, actually. I really, when I saw the first movie back in 2004, I hadn't seen him in anything else. And since then, I've seen him in other things. But, I mean, he's great in his two runs as Hellboy. I really wish that they would have done a third one, because I think that it was supposed to be the last. And I really would have wanted them to have that last go as the character. But I'm certainly willing to be a bit open-minded about it. It's one of those things where I'm not so emotionally invested in the others that I'm just going to completely write this off yet.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it does have promising people behind it. And like I said, I like David Harbour. I love it when that guy shows up and stuff. He was also even if people didn't see Black Mass, which is
shit! I completely forgot he was in that.
Yeah, even if people haven't seen Black Mass and they watch the trailer, they know who he is, because he's the guy at the dinner table that Johnny Depp is talking to in the trailer.
Yes.
and he was a really solid presence in that movie. I thought that, I mean, it's not like some great huge performance or whatever, but he's a solid presence, and that's what he gives in anything that he's in. So I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. I just wish that we wouldn't be rebooting everything, but that's me. That's the place we're in right now, sort of in the entertainment industry is reboot everything or sequelize everything. So, it was eventually going to happen, I guess, if they didn't have any sort of plans soon, because we're coming upon it's 9 years since Hellboy 2 came out. So that came out like 2 weeks before The Dark Knight, if nobody remembers that. So I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure. So. So our next bit of news, and this is weird. There's not much known about it, but Judge Dredd, the wonderful Sylvester Stallone movie, and the Carl Urban remake thing that was better, will be getting its own TV show. There's really not much known here, but I think it's apparently going to be called Judge Dredd Mega City 1.
Sounds like a really shit PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, it does. It's going to be a TV series. We don't know who's in it. We don't know what network it's on. We know that it's going to be, I think, what is it? The Rebellion, the British game company that owns the rights, are going to be show running it. So Jason and Chris Kingsley. Is it Jason and Chris Kingsley? Anyway, so that's the deal. I am a fan of this. I like the world. I think that this could be a lot of fun if they don't put it on Fox, because Fox took Minority Report and ripped it to shreds recently, and then the show was canceled. So let's not give it to Fox. But if like NBC took it on or something, they've gotten a lot better in their ratings recently. Or CBS or really anything but Fox, I would say. Or go, HBO or FX or something a little more able to take on violence. That would be interesting. And,
yeah, I mean that's
I am Global's doing this, and maybe Netflix. If they could take advantage of that possibility, that would be interesting. But yeah, it's gonna be neat to see what happens here if they go with like casting Carl Urban or something, literally make it an extension on the movie, or we don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head. Like, this has to be on. Like, not maybe, it has to be on a premium channel like FXX, HBO, Showtime, Stars, or Netflix. It is the only way this series is going to survive. When you take a movie like this that's this violent and you put it on Fox or NBC, they're going to axe that within the first 2 episodes because they're, assholes like that. But with this one, I imagine like the violence to be as extreme and not over the top, but what as you were kind of describing like a Judge Dredd like TV show, I kept thinking about Ash vs. Evil Dead on Stars for some weird reason, because like that show is like super violent and super creative, and it actually works for that show. I'm wondering, if Judge Dredd's gonna be a little serious, more serious. So like, I'm not saying it's gonna be like that show, but I imagine like because Ash vs. Evil Dead is fucking violent as hell. So I want them to like go on one of those networks that go, yeah, you can do whatever you want type deal, or go on Netflix because Netflix will do whatever you want. So yeah, I think in order for this to happen, there has to be a network that's willing to kind of go balls out with it, so to speak, and be edgy. I mean, that's the only way this movie is going to survive, because that's the beauty of the Carl Urban remake is the kind of stylized violence, and that's what you kind of remember, and that's what kind of really makes the movie entertaining. It makes the world just kind of you get into the world with that extreme violence that you can't just be dainty with it. So it's got to go on one of those studios though.
They gotta invest some serious money, whoever it is, because that's going to be a really, really, really expensive show. Apparently Jason Kingsley was telling The Guardian or something that it's going to be one of the most expensive that the UK has ever seen because they're financing it. So yeah, so it's interesting. All right, so our next bit of news, I'm going to hand it over to Chase. Now this is really interesting stuff. So go ahead, Chase. This third one.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask Joel politely over the air. Where the fuck did you find this story? Because when you sent the notes to me, I was like, the fuck? Like, did you find this in the underground part of the deep web? I never even heard of this. Okay, so do you remember that adorable Alison Brie voiced character in Lego Movie? Do you even remember? Of course you don't. Yes. Anyways, Unikitty getting her own show. Okay, first of all, Joel's gotta put some context on this because I have no idea where you found this, sir.
Okay, so I went to I think IMDb. I think I found it on IMDb. Pretty sure. Anyway, and yeah, I found it. So I absolutely remember Unikitty because actually Alison Brie, I think, was like my second runner-up to favorite voice performance of 2014 because there's a scene where she's trying to calm herself while her entire world explodes, literally, and it was amazing. So go back and watch that movie because she is absolutely incredible in it. But yeah, I found this and it was amazing. So it's Unikitty's going to be voiced by Tara Strong, and am I wrong? Is Tara Strong Harley Quinn? I'm pretty sure Tara Strong is Harley Quinn.
Yes, so Harley Quinn and pretty much everything from the 90s and a lot of modern stuff. Like, she's everywhere, by the way.
Yeah. And so apparently she's going to be the voice of Unikitty. And so I find this very interesting. I mean, I'm a fan of this. I got a big grin on my face because I was just like, okay, this is kind of perfect. That's perfect casting. First of all, I think that it's great. And I'm a fan of the character. I think that she could absolutely carry a series. As long as it's one of those things that doesn't just go really long. I think that a 65 episode thing surrounding that character would be really good. And really funny if they played it right. Obviously there's also the chance that it could be really cutesy and kind of fake and all that, phony or whatever, but there's always the chance of that with everything. But nevertheless, I think that this is neat. This is a really neat idea to circle a character around her. And so anyway, I was just wondering, like, what do you think? And I guess we got it. You're just kind of confounded.
I'm confused. So while you were talking about it, and the fact that they got Tara Strong, I'm wondering if they're going to kind of appeal to the My Little Pony crowd. Which would not surprise me.
It might go to that crowd, absolutely.
Yeah, which means it's probably going to have brighter colors. It's going to be very ADHD, all over the screen and whatnot. But I get it, Billy. People love those types of shows and whatnot. I don't know who greenlit this. I don't know who was high on a Saturday night was like, hey, man, we should probably get that Unikitty show. That was Seth Rogen pitching it to someone else, and then they made a show. Listen, I have no desire to see this because, like I said, they're probably going to have the animation look like My Little Pony. It's still going to have like the Lego look and kind of like that stop motion look to it, but it's going to be very bright. It's going to be very colorful and stuff, which is fine because that character, it kind of fits it, so it actually works out very well. And Tara Strong, I'm about to blow you guys' mind if you guys aren't really into her career. Two of my favorite shows growing up on Nickelodeon, Rugrats and Fairly Odd Parents, and I can tell you right now that she plays Timmy on Fairly Odd Parents, and she plays Tommy on Rugrats, and you're like, wow. So it's like
I had no idea about that.
Wait, are you serious?
I honestly didn't. I mean, I watched those shows, but I wasn't of the age where I was following like who voiced them. And so years later, I just never looked into it. So I had no idea that she was also that voice. That's cool.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's been around for a while, and like she's even voiced boys. She's voiced girls. Like she can do it all. Like she's pretty great. She's a very talented voice actor in general. Like I said, just watch any clip from any one of her shows. They all kind of have a similar kind of sound to them, but they're still very distinctive in their own personalities and stuff, and that's what's really great about what she does, and that's why she's one of the best. So, yeah, I'm totally fine with her being cast as the voice for that, and I guess we'll see if there's another Brony audience, maybe the Bro Unikitty audience. I have no fucking clue. Joel, next story. Joel, next fucking story.
Okay, so our next bit of news, I have to preface this one. So this is getting into a little personal territory, but several years ago, I was not in a good place, kind of just personally. And a friend of mine introduced me to the band Radiohead. It was in about 2010. I had heard like a song or two, but I didn't do the deep dive until early 2010. So they mean a lot to me, specifically the album Kid A is probably the best album I've ever heard. And so this next bit of news was really exciting. And any news involving a member of Radiohead scoring or taking part in the music of some movie it means a lot to me. Like Johnny Greenwood, scored There Will Be Blood, several other things. So he's the guitarist of that band. So Tom York, who is the front man of the group, is going to be scoring Luca Guadagnino's Suspiria remake, which is awesome because I feel like he'd be perfect for that. I actually haven't seen Suspiria, but I get the energy that the movie has, and I think that he could really come up with, that sort of. I always connect Radiohead to Kubrick, and I feel like, for whatever reason, and I feel like he could come up with a score that feels like a Kubrick score, if you will. Kubrick movies have great scores in them, and I mean, it's awesome. I love this bit of news. Tom York is he's a great guy. I love Radiohead. I love his voice. I think that his musical talent is insane, and this gives me a chance to see Suspiria, the original 1977 movie from Dario Argento, in time for this remake, which stars Tilda Swinton, right? And she's in it. I can't remember who's playing. Who is it? It's Suspiria. Chloe Grace Moretz. What? Oh yeah. Okay. Chloe Grace Moretz and Dakota Johnson are in it, and Tilda Swinton, Mia Goth. So I'm really excited for this, just in general. And I think that Tom York, a member of Radiohead, really being added to produce the score, that's just going to be so awesome. So what are you a fan of this? Are you a fan of Radiohead? I don't even know. But are you a fan of this news, Chase?
Well, I didn't realize this was a therapy session. Radiohead, I haven't listened to them in a while. Believe it or not, the first time I ever even heard of Radiohead was in one of my favorite episodes of South Park, when the very dark one, Scott Tenorman Must Die one. And Radiohead's kind of like the forefront, not the forefront, but they're like kind of the backdrop of the episode. That was the first time I heard about them, and then I started listening to their music and whatnot, and they're pretty good. They're solid. I'm more of a heavy metal guy. I'm more into like the Metallicas and the Judas Priests and all that stuff. So like I'm into like that heavy, like not heavy, because then heavy metal people might get angry at me. So I'm into metal and rock of like 70s and 80s era, but primarily. But Radiohead, believe it or not, like when you said that just kind of out loud doing the Suspiria remake, do you think he's gonna do something kind of like along the lines of like what Trent Reznor does for the modern David Fincher films, kind of like that kind of eerie soundtrack type of deal?
I could totally see that. Yeah. I feel like that's a big possibility. I think that he'll be able to accompany the action really well, in a way. It's going to be very bloody. It's going to be, from what I understand. So, I mean, I think that anybody from Radiohead fits that. But I think that having Tom York do it, it's going to be really, really neat to listen to that soundtrack. I'm looking forward to this movie a lot more, and looking forward to finally catching up with the original now, even more than I was. So I'm I'm a big fan of that. So our last bit of news is the other bit of superhero news. I'm going to hand that over to Chase to talk about.
Oh shit, guys! Listen, 20th Century Fox is just laying down their balls on the table right now. Like, listen, we got a bunch of shit coming out. Get ready for it. Which I'm excited. Like, on an equal playing level of like Marvel movies and 20th Century Fox Marvel movies. Like, it's insane. Like, every single piece of news that like comes out of that studio and stuff is great. And maybe I'm just high off the fact that Joel and I saw Alien Covenant, and that was 20th Century Fox, and they're just doing a great job. But the New Mutants is going to be like the third film in this kind of like slate they got going on. They got Deadpool 2 coming out next year. They have the Dark Phoenix X-Men film with the the cast from X-Men Apocalypse. And then, of course, New Mutants is going to come out right after that. So the news is that they have their first two female leads. Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, which I know people are going to get angry. I've only seen 4 episodes of Game of Thrones. Do not shoot me. I will watch it all eventually, but there's just so much goddamn television. And the other one, just recently from her hit Split, is Anya Taylor-Joy, and also from the hit The Witch. She's on a streak right now. And Joel, do you know what characters they're playing?
I think it's like, is one of them Deathstroke or something? Hold on one second.
That's definitely not the name.
Okay. I can't.
No, because like I'm sorry guys, I didn't have time to research. Just I got other stuff going on, but I did see the headline and I started just reading a little bit, and them being attached to the New Mutants and stuff, so I apologize. But if you want to talk about talent alone, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know their characters and know their powers or personalities. I don't. So I'm going to go strictly on their talent and their acting abilities. I have never seen Maisie Williams act, and it's not I'm not saying she's terrible. Like I said, that's my fault. I have not seen Game of Thrones.
She is playing Wolfsbane.
Wolfsbane, okay. But yeah, I've never seen her act at all. Like, I've seen the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones, but that was when she was like a youngling, to where I can't really judge it off of that. However, I can judge Anya Taylor-Joy, because I've seen both of her films, and they're both fucking awesome. I love The Witch, and I love the fact that was kind of like her first big feature to really kind of throw herself out in front of the public and really, I think, do a good job. I did not care for that movie Morgan, but she did the best she could. And then in Split, she was crying in every scene, so there's there was that. But I'm serious. If you go back and rewatch Split, she's literally crying in every single scene. It's amazing. I don't know how much water has exited her face while making that movie, but she's really great in Split too. She has like that, the fearful like captive, like James McAvoy has captured these girls. She doesn't have any clue what's going on. She finally gets to understand James McAvoy's character and really kind of, be on like an equal kind of ground with him. And so she kind of does a character shift there. And then towards the end, of course, you can probably guess that she becomes the hero of some sort. So she becomes very heroic, very confident. So she does have a really great arc in Split, even for a small little horror thriller like that. So her is a great...
She's playing magic.
Yeah. Okay. I still don't know any of those characters. Listen, I love the X-Men to death, but like, I'm talking core X-Men. I'm not the New Mutants comics. I don't think I've ever seen an issue of that, and that's my fault. I apologize. But Anya Taylor-Joy is a great pick. She is an up-and-coming talent. If you guys have not seen The Witch, watch her in that. Watch her in Split. If you're curious about Morgan, go for it, but I wouldn't suggest it. But she is a great pick. And hey, listen, even though I've never seen Maisie Williams act, the fact that they're pulling from Game of Thrones twice now, that's pretty fucking cool. Because as you guys know, Sophie Turner is Jean Grey in the Dark Phoenix movie. So, and she was also Jean Grey in Apocalypse. I thought she did a pretty good job. I really liked her kind of interaction with Ty Sheridan, who plays Cyclops, and eventually they're lovers in the comic series and whatnot. So, yeah, this is a pretty great piece of news. And listen, if they get these two women, think about this. If they get these two women to be in the movie right now, and they're the first two to kind of sign on the dotted line, who knows? Like what's the other cast? Like it could be like some really great people on this roster to really kind of push forward this new mutant type of generation and really kind of get kind of a new generation of people to love it. So, yeah, I think this is great news all around. So, Joel, I know that you like to shower your distaste and your bitterness of my love for comic book movies. I get that. Did you? I don't think we've ever talked about it. Did you like Apocalypse? Did you like kind of like the new group of mutants? And what do you think about this casting?
Yeah, I thought Apocalypse was good, and I did like the new cast. I'm a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy. I liked her in Morgan even. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, but she was good in it. And of course, I liked The Witch and Split, and I liked her in both of those. So I think that she's a really promising talent, and maybe even more than promising. She's been in 3 things now that are fairly, high profile. So I'm curious to see what she can bring to a giant ensemble like this with, a bunch of visual effects work, and that's going to be I think that's going to be kind of a new arena for her. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking through Maisie Williams's filmography here. I don't think I've seen her in anything. So it's just like I'm literally not recognizing anything here. So. I mean, I think I watched 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. I'm in your ballpark there. I just haven't watched a lot because there's so much to watch already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they're pulling from a show like Game of Thrones, you're right. I mean, it's a good sign. So I like Sophie Turner as well. So I don't know. I mean, it's good that they're casting this. That they're getting the ball rolling, because I'm excited for this.
Well, let's just say that they're off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's it for the news. There were some other little tiny things that happened, but it was a slow week, I should say. But yeah, so we're going to move on to the trailers now, and I'm going to open us up with this wonderful-looking sequel. It's Blade Runner 2049 from director Denis Villeneuve, and this, of course, stars Ryan Gosling, as we don't know yet, do we? And then, of course, Harrison Ford's back as Deckard. I cannot wait for this movie. I cannot wait. I am like foaming at the mouth. This honestly, like Star Wars fan that I am, this might be my most anticipated fall big blockbuster thing. And I know that Chase probably just died at that announcement, but it really is. I adore the original film. I think that it's really something special. It's a great vision. It had visual effects from the guy who did 2001: A Space Odyssey. Douglas Trumbull did the visual effects on Blade Runner. I think that it's a great screenplay. It's a great story that they're telling in the movie. I love Harrison Ford's performance in it. It's a classic for a reason. I've only seen the final cut, actually, but nevertheless, that's the one that's kind of the definitive watch this version of it. And I'm really excited to see what Villeneuve is able to bring to this world, because, man, can you imagine, like, after Arrival and Sicario and Prisoners and Enemy, and I know that people love Incendie and Polytechnique, which were his earlier movies. Just this guy is one of my favorites. Like, just this whole trailer is awesome. It showcases Roger Deakins' cinematography extremely well. It doesn't really tell us what the plot is, which I like. It's hinting. It's doing what a great trailer should do. It's hinting at a lot of surprises, a lot of unknown variables in the storytelling, without giving anything away. It's like exactly the opposite of what the Alien Covenant trailers did on the speaking of like Ridley Scott movies. And I just love the visual look. I love how it's edited. Man, I loved Jared Leto's appearance in this. Creepy blind guy. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying that I love Jared Leto in something, but anyway, nevertheless, I think that the cast all looks just awesome, and I cannot wait for this. So Chase, how excited are you?
2013, Gravity comes out. Emmanuel Lubezki goes up there and accepts his cinematography award for Best Cinematography at the Oscars. 2014 rolls around. Birdman wins Best Cinematography, and Lubezki gets up there for a second time in a row. 2015 rolls around. He goes up there a third time in a row for The Revenant. A beautiful looking movie. Step aside, motherfucker, because we got Roger Deakins going up there to finally accept this fucking award that he's been shunned at for like the past like 4 or 5 fucking years. This is a gorgeous looking trailer. Good Lord. I cannot believe a man of his age can still create movies that look like this. It's incredible. It's engrossing. Like, listen, I might make people mad, but I will do my homework. Trust me. I saw Blade Runner a long time ago, and by a long time I mean at least a decade ago. I have the final cut on DVD, and I watched half of it like 5 years ago. So I need to watch the full thing to really kind of get back into this world. So my knowledge on it is kind of it's a little dim to kind of comment on the continuation of it. But as a standalone trailer to this movie, I really liked it because, like you said, the mystery is there. You don't really know what's going on, but it's beautifully shot. It really kind of captures the essence of this world. The action looks really great. The acting looks really top notch. I think it's a very interesting combination to have Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling go back at each other, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think from the visual look alone and just kind of the overall essence of what we're about to get into has sold me, and I will definitely want to see this for sure when it comes out. But I do need to do my homework and watch the final cut on DVD because I do have it. I will watch it so I can get reevaluated with this world again and kind of understand why people love it so much. Because when I first saw it, I was a teenager, so I didn't know film back in the day. And of course, when I saw it 5 years ago for half of it, I wanted to finish it, I just never did. So I really do need to just watch it fresh over again and really kind of get like a new set of eyes on it type of deal. But as far as this trailer, I'm curious about it. However, and this is not the movie or the trailer. This is Warner Brothers and its distributing company Alcon that's making this. They're going to lose a lot of money on this movie.
Yeah,
and I feel really bad for it because I know a lot of people they're really excited for Blade Runner 2049. That's cool, but people also have to realize Blade Runner, when it came out, was a flop, and it's gained a cult following since then. But when you put this trailer in front of a normal movie-going audience that maybe sees 5 movies a year, and so they have to pick 5 movies to go see, they're going to look at that trailer and be really confused. They're going to be like, what is this? Like, yeah, the colors are nice and it's beautifully shot, but what is this type of deal? So I'm really worried that this is not going to click with the majority of moviegoers. And this movie cost $200 million, and Warner Brothers is about to eat shit with one of their movies this weekend, and Joel's about to review it, and they're going to lose a lot of money on King Arthur. They're going to lose a lot of money on this one. So I don't know what the fuck is happening over there, but they are not. They are making some terrible decisions. But as hardcore movie fans, we're going to try to go see it and support it as much as we can, but this movie is going to fail pretty damn bad.
Yeah, I usually don't have to pay for movie tickets because of some perks that I get, but I'm going to pay for this one, I think, because I want to add to its box office intake as much as I can, even if it's just like whatever, $12 or whatever. But yeah, they basically, Warner's existing on the back of the DCEU right now. The Wonder Woman and Justice League are basically their movies. They're gonna have to, be fine with making their money for them this year, and that's kind of sad because King Arthur, whatever its quality, could have been an interesting franchise, and Blade Runner 2049 is just, it's a sequel to a beloved classic that you're right is a cult item more than an actual success at a box office on a box office level. It's going to be very sad to watch, but to watch that happen, when those box office numbers roll in, it's not gonna be doing well. So, or it's gonna maybe do well-ish, but it's not going to make them any money. It's going to lose them money, as you said.
Yeah,
because it costs them.
It's gonna. They have to make at least $500 million. I would say, the ballpark is $450 to $500 million just to break even. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. Although in 2018, there's like a blockbuster every week, and I'm sure that some of them are Warner Brothers, so they may have a cushion there in 2018.
They do have it coming out in September.
Oh,
so,
that's true.
So hopefully that will be a really nice sleeper hit, R-rated sleeper hit for them. So listen, I don't root for any studio to fail, but when you make dumbass decisions like this, it's not gonna who in their right mind said, let's make a Blade Runner sequel to a film that flopped at the box office and really didn't do that well, and let's put $200 million into the. It just listen. I think their money was well spent because it looks fantastic, it looks gorgeous, but this movie is going to probably have another cult group with it, just like the first one. So whatever.
We shall find out. I'm on a movie level. I'm stoked for it. It's up there for sure as one of my most anticipated of the year. So I'm super thrilled. Speaking of sequels, let's move on to the second trailer. I'll give this to you, Chase. You're welcome.
Oh, god damn it, you. All right, so this is like the 500th trailer that Disney Pixar has released with Cars 3, and this tells the story of Lightning McQueen, and he's getting a little older. He's being beat out by faster, slicker models, so he's become that old fart at the party. You just kick him out and go shoot him out at pasture, while the other ones what's his name, Jackson Storm, come in and save the day and kick his ass. I don't care. I really don't. Listen, the first Cars is fine. I know a lot of people do not like it. The first Cars is whatever. It's a whatever type of Pixar movie. I didn't care for the sequel at all. I don't care about this franchise, and it always boggles my mind. And we're getting the sequel to this, by the way, so I'm not saying this is not happening, but when you have 3 movies in a franchise that's very subpar from, to most, people out there, and they can't make an incredible sequel, a few years after the first one, that I take issue with that. It's like, where are your fucking priorities, Pixar? And I realize that John Lasseter, this is his baby, this is his deal, and I also realize from a business standpoint, this is probably their biggest moneymaker franchise, because kids love cars, it's perfect for toys and stuff. I get that, but for movie quality, I just really don't care. And this trailer is like, it's whatever. It doesn't look near as bad as the second one. I will give it that. I just want them to kind of infuse that rich, kind of powerful storytelling you see in a Toy Story 3 or Up or something, and apply it to Cars. Because I know they can do it. If you can make a movie about us caring about fucking toys, then you can make us care about fucking cars with giant, coked out eyes. So it's one of those things to where it just kind of makes me mad that the team of Pixar has to succumb to just bright colors and flashes and funny jokes for kids rather than substance. So I don't really care about the trailer at all. It's whatever. It's going to make a shit ton of money. Finding Dory crushed it last year, and it was the number one, I believe, animated movie last year. It made over 400 something million just domestically alone. This is also going to crush it. Now the first 2 did okay, but I have a feeling there's this weird pit in my stomach that tells me that this and Despicable Me 3 will probably battle it out for the top animated film of the year, box office wise. So I don't really care for it, but Joel, what about you?
Well, I mean, unless Coco is some sort of, which is their November movie, is some sort of huge surprise or something, and not a good dinosaur. Where'd it go? then yeah, this is going to be their more financially successful movie of the year, which makes me sad because Coco is an original product.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love in comparison to this, and because this is, it might be a labor of love as a franchise, but it's still a franchise, which has a sort of corporate feel to it. And this trailer's all over the place. It looks certainly better than the second one, which was just basically like James Bond the cartoon. It was not very well. The first one was, I like it, but this is the franchise in Pixar's history that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have a world full of cars. I don't care what kind of theories you throw out. There was that one, I can't remember what it said, but nevertheless, it makes no sense to have a world full of cars. How did that happen? And I don't care to find out. I don't care to see his fight with Jackson Storm. And in fact, I can tell listeners right now that there's a good chance that, I'll see it probably to review it for my website, but we probably won't be talking about this movie on a podcast. I believe that weekend will be taken up with something else.
Joel, I think our listeners are fine with that. I think they can live with that decision.
Nevertheless, to remain forewarned, we're not talking about this movie. I will probably review it, but whatever. It's just one of those whatever things. I don't have many feelings yet. It was a high-profile trailer this week, so I figured we should talk about it. All right, so our next one is an interesting little title. It's called Jeanette. It is from director Bruno Dumont, who is a prolific French director. He's been working, I think, since the 80s or 90s. I've seen one of his movies, and it was a 3.5-hour crime comedy called Lil Ken Ken. It was about a bumbling detective. It was basically like if Mr. Bean was put in charge of the case from Seven. And it was really unique. And in fact, actually, it was probably darker than the case in Seven, which is hard to believe to anybody who hasn't seen the movie. But trust me, whoa. And it was really good. It was a special mention on the outside of my top 10 that year because it played as a TV series in its homeland of France. But this one is a musical about the childhood of Joan of Arc, back when she had her former name of Jeanette. And this looks really unique. It looks to be sung entirely on the spot, like on location, I should say, like Les Miserables was several years ago. And I think that the visual style of the trailer is very much in tune with his visual style. He's known for having a unique sort of control behind the camera, and he certainly showed that in Little Ken Ken. It looks like he shows that here. And I just like this. It looks really funny in that sort of not really scholastic way, but scholarly kind of way. It's a very smart kind of humor, but it looks silly too, and it just looks like a really great musical. It looks like it's going to have some unique choreography, kind of on location again. I mean, it's not usual to have something like that be the case. And he's famous for shooting things on location. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it looks unique and very funny and very, very sweet. Looks like the kid is really good who plays Jeanette. And I'm curious. I sent this to Chase, and then he was just like, well, that's something. So, Chase, what did you think of this trailer?
It was fucking weird, man. Like, the whole thing was playing, like, yeah, it was kind of, it had, like, that Wes Anderson type of, it's almost like if Wes Anderson was given, like a Nazi story and was like, hey, man, can you make that really quirky or something? I don't know, it was just, I don't know if it really fits with, like you said, like, the childhood of Joan of Arc. It just, like, the trailer itself was fine, and then when they, showed the title and it was like, Jeanette, what did it say? What was the subtitle?
The Childhood of Joan of Arc.
Okay, see, that's where it lost me. That's when it was like, I was like, oh, that's really weird, because Joan of Arc was like a pretty iconic figure, and like it just, I don't know. Listen, I'm all into like kind of weird foreign films. That stuff doesn't bother me. I'm not really into this. Now, Joel's going to watch it because he watches way more movies than I do per week, so when he says it's good, I will then watch it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it. But I will agree with you. It's very creative. It's very unique. Definitely threw me off guard, and it had my attention throughout the trailer. But the whole Joan of Arc thing, I really don't care for. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Our next trailer is one that we just mentioned actually a couple seconds ago. The movie, at least. Go at it, Chase.
Holy shit! I'm so fucking excited for this. Just like with last week, Joel and I shat all over the Dark Tower. It's not like the worst thing ever, but it's also like in comparison to it looks like garbage. So when the first It trailer came out, it was terrifying. It made me like shiver. I loved the cinematography and just the way it was put together. It really creeped you the fuck out. This second trailer was just like that. I love the way it opens. I love the kind of camaraderie between the kids. And we kind of see their personalities kind of shine through and how they're going to interact with each other. You know, they sound like, you know, kids. They sound, you know, Joel and I were little boys once, like, you know, like going searching in the sewer, finding dead bodies, or, you know, saying the word shit and fuck every 2 seconds. This is the way childhood was, and I felt that. It felt authentic. It didn't feel like these kids were reading off a script. It felt like they were just kind of shooting the shit, and the director was kind of capturing it, and it came off as kind of natural. And that last ending shot of fucking Pennywise behind that balloon, the balloon goes up, and then you see that scary ass like grin on his face with his eyes, or I mean his head dipped down and his eyes looking up. I hate that look. It makes me scared to my wits. I'm gonna have nightmares. Like, it's such a great final shot for that trailer. I will say this though. No more trailers. Stop. Just fucking stop it. We're good. We're golden. I just don't want them to reveal too much, because the first trailer was great to really kind of show us how terrifying this movie is going to be. And I love that last final bit in the first trailer of him, or Pennywise, like coming out of the water. It's no. Fucking no. I will shoot it with a shotgun. Shoot it in its dick. I don't give a shit. I'm going to put it down. And then the second one was great with that final shot. So I absolutely love this second trailer. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it might be my like top 3 for the rest of the year that I'm looking forward to. Because I'm a huge fan of horror films, and I really do love a good Stephen King movie. And this one, listen, the Tim Curry ones from the 90s, you know, the TV miniseries, it is what it is. Like, I will accept it. I own it. I like watching it for entertainment purposes. And yes, it is creepy that with that iconic Tim Curry in the sewer, but I think they're going to really go a more terrifying route with this version, and I cannot fucking wait. So, Joel, give it to me, man. What'd you think?
Oh, man, I can't wait for this. This was even better than the first trailer. I just, again, I have to sing the praises of the cinematographer, Chang Hoon-chung, or I think that's his name, who shot The Handmaiden last year. The guy knows his way around precision in his shots. And I think that this is going to be the same way. There's a lot of that showcased here. The kids, I love how it's basically a scene, technically. It's not even a trailer.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like and I love that. I was actually secretly hoping that that's what they would go with as a second trailer. Like showing us essentially a clip that then, you know, teases a little bit of something at the end. And I love that final shot. I love what Bill Skarsgård seems to be doing with Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Yes.
You have to say that with a funny accent. The dancing clown. Anyway, because it looks creepy, it looks scary. I'm a fan of scary stuff. You know, horror films, when they're scary, I like it. I think that this is going to be one. Certainly seems to be from the trailers. Of course, obviously trailers can be deceiving sometimes, but it absolutely skyrocketed this into my top 10. It was certainly anticipated before this point, but this trailer sealed it. I can't wait. Certainly a lot more excited for this than The Dark Tower. And I'm still going to try to read the book, or at least read the part of, because I'm pretty sure it's a part 1. And I'm going to try to read that part before this movie comes out, because it should cover the first half. I think it's the first part of the book.
Yeah, I think the marketing has been on point so far, because at first I subscribe to Entertainment Weekly, right? And so I have the issue where they first showed the Pennywise photos, and I did not like those photos at all. I was like, oh, this looks like some weird Party City get up, like it doesn't even look terrifying. But then the poster and both of the pieces of marketing in terms of trailers have nailed it, and they've switched me to a complete 180 to where I wasn't even looking forward to this. Now that the trailers have won me over, I'm like super stoked now. So that's the power of marketing, folks, is when those first photos came out, I did not like whatsoever, but all the pieces of marketing, including that damn poster that's creepy as hell, I've absolutely loved. So yeah, it cannot come here faster.
September 8th. All right, so our last trailer. A bit ago I mentioned that Blade Runner 2049 did a good job of, the trailer for it, did a good job of teasing us and not really telling us what the movie is about. This next trailer, in the most fascinating way possible, literally does not tell us anything about what the movie's about. And it is called Woodshock. This is one of the latest from A24. It has Kirsten Dunst, and I cannot tell you the plot because I have no idea what it is, and I can't wait to find out. The imagery in this trailer is absolutely magnificent. There's really not much to talk about, but just to gush about it, because it's it sets the tone and the atmosphere so well without telling us anything about the plot, essentially. Those are the best trailers, I think. Just teasing us without actually letting us know what it is. But Kirsten Dunst looks great. I mean, it's gonna be a movie that's gonna be difficult to carry on one's shoulders as an actor. You can already tell that from the trailer. And yeah, I'm so excited for this. Just so y'all know, I think I mentioned it last week, but Chase and I generally don't tell each other things, about what we think unless we see a movie together. In which case it's kind of impossible not to. But we started, when I started co-hosting, we started a thing where we just wouldn't tell each other what the other thought. So I had a good idea about what he thought about the Blade Runner 2049 trailer from a post he made, and a good idea of what he thought of the Jeanette trailer. But I haven't talked to him at all about Woodshock. So, Chase, what are your thoughts on this one? Are you as intrigued as I am by the tone-setting trailer here?
All right, so if you guys want to imagine what this trailer is like, because I know you guys are listening through this through an audio source, so we have to describe stuff visually, and Joel and I are not the best storytellers, so it's a little hard. But the best way to describe this trailer is if you watched Melancholia on acid. That's exactly how the trailer looks. If you guys never saw Melancholia, it's my favorite Lars von Trier movie. It's also got Kirsten Dunst, and it deals a lot with depression and the world, and it's a really kind of just beautiful last moments of Earth, living on Earth type of deal. And I really loved it. And this kind of this trailer emulated that. Joel's right. I have no idea what the hell this movie's about, but the imagery is fascinating. It's almost got this lucid, dreamlike type of look to it. It almost looks like it has the stylings of a David Lynch type of dreamlike type of tone to it. Now, is that I'm going to be honest with you. If this was from another studio, I would sell the trailer, just because it really doesn't give me much hope if it was from another studio. But I'm telling you, just like with Blumhouse, I feel the same way about anything A24 pumps out, to where if I see their header in front of a trailer, I get excited. It already makes me 50% excited for the project, because they are so great at selecting great projects. I believe that they'll probably do a good job with this movie. As a first trailer, it's intriguing. I like Kirsten Dunst. I like the way it looks. And it could be one of those movies where we don't really know what's real and what's not type of deal, and we don't know, what's actually happening, in her head, or, what's actually happening, in real life. We don't know, and it kind of looks like it's going to be played out that way. I'm excited strictly for A24's sake. But if I had, for instance, the first teaser to It Comes at Night, that was delivered beautifully because it captured the tone, it captured the essence, it captured the feel of the movie with one long tracking shot. This didn't really capture any feel for me. It was just more like, this is kind of the style they're going for, with like that lucid looking kind of acid look. So I'm intrigued, but yeah, it's A24, so I'm gonna buy it, obviously, for sure.
Yeah, there's really not much more to say than that. I feel the same way. This stuff is the stuff that I'm usually excited for, so I'm down. So what was y'all's favorite trailer, favorite bit of news? Tell us both of those things below, I guess, Chase's face, technically, and not below mine. But we're going to move on to the reviews now, because there are 3 coming your way. The first is going to be from Chase, and I'm going to introduce it, but nevertheless, it's his favorite comedy of all time, and that is Snatched. This is the new film from Jonathan Levine, who of course directed 50/50 and Warm Bodies, and it stars Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn as a daughter-mother pair. Reconnect after being kidnapped by a Colombian drug cartel. So, Chase, take it away. Why did you love this movie so much?
Joel, why are you lying to the public? What are you, the president? All right, so here's the deal. 2000. I'm going to ramp up to this because I think it's very important. 2011, 50/50 comes out, and it absolutely blows my mind. It's a really great dramedy, and I really loved the kind of care and kind of emotional core that movie had from Jonathan Levine's directing. 2013 rolls around, 2014, excuse me. It's one of those years. Warm Bodies comes out. Warm Bodies was actually, it was a lot of fun. It was like, a nice little sweet looking take on a zombie film, a zombie love story. It was fun. The night before, Seth Rogen, I'm a Seth Rogen fanboy. That movie was, it wasn't that good. It had a couple of moments, but I would still accept that one over Snatched. There's one word to describe this movie: embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the producer, Paul Feig. I'm embarrassed for the writer, Katie Dippold, who did write Ghostbusters last year, but she has also written several episodes of one of my favorite television comedies of all time, Parks and Rec, so I will give her a pass. And then Jonathan Levine directs it. You have Amy Schumer in it, and you have Goldie Hawn coming out of a kind of like a 15-year hiatus from acting. Like, I just don't understand like how you could screen this in front of your executives and go, yeah, we're good with that, let's go. So I'm going to do my best to break this down because I did not like this movie whatsoever. But, all right, so Snatched. I do not root against comedies, right? And so I look forward to every single comedy that comes out. Yes, even the bad-looking ones, because I know deep down that there might be like some inkling, just like hoping it's good and like it's the best raunchy comedy of the year. I hope that. I love those types of films. I love dark comedies. I love dry comedies. I love it all. I give them all a chance. These trailers did not win me over at all. Joel knows this. So I was going into it already knowing that I was probably going to dislike it. So I was already biased going in. I should have done that. But, I try to clear my mind as much as I can before I see the movie. And I was still excited to see. I was like, oh, I love Trainwreck, so let's do this. So I think the biggest issue with this film is that Jonathan Levine has this weird kind of tonal clashing of raunchy humor and dark humor, and it doesn't work for me. And also he tries to throw in, the dramatic stuff, so, it's a comedy with heart. I get that. I love those types of movies, but this one just felt abrupt. It was like, let's do this raunchy-ass scene, and we're serious. Or, let's do this dark scene. Oh, my God, someone got shot in the fucking dick or face, and then let's do a raunchy scene. Like, it seemed to kind of just clash against each other. It was ultimately a detriment to the film, because first of all, I didn't find it funny, and I realized that, humor is subjective. I get that. So I didn't find it funny to begin with, and so on top of that, it was so just shifty in its tones. It didn't work for me. And I think the worst part out of all of this, not only the tonal clashing, is that the main characters were not really likable, and they were not funny. Like, I didn't think Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn were funny at all. I actually found more humor and enjoyment from the supporting characters, whether it be a Wanda Sykes or Joan Cusack. Christopher Maloney was really fun to watch. Ike Barinholtz had a couple good scenes. They actually carried the movie for me. It was not the main characters. I know that Amy Schumer's got it in her, inside Amy Schumer. But listen, I'm not a fan of her stand-up at all. And I've seen her live in concert. It's whatever. She's got her fans. I understand that. But I really did like Trainwreck. And that's what's kind of the difference. And I said this in my review on the YouTube channel. I'll say it here. I hate bringing up movies that have no correlation with the other, but I have to. So Trainwreck. Amy Schumer wrote it. She started it, and it was directed by Judd Apatow. It had heart. It had like this nice kind of soft human side to it while still being raunchy and entertaining with really great like characters that you could actually see in real life. It was a really well done comedy. Then you get to this movie, which has no likable characters. It's trying way too damn hard with the comedy. And just seeing Goldie Hawn in this just makes me sad. It's like you pulled her out of retirement for this shit. So, yeah, just the acting overall and the direction is, I think, the poorest quality about this film for sure. They have several green screen shots that annoy me. Like, it's shot on location for the most part, but they do a lot of green screen, which is really ironic because they spent all that money to go to these locations, but whatever. So there's a couple shots that look like really bad like that. I just think for its hour and a half runtime, it just kind of stretches out into this like never-ending like barrage of just terrible jokes or jokes that you see from a mile away. That's another sad thing about this. There's just too many sad things about this. Is that when you're sitting there, and this might be my fault because I see like 100 movies a year. I see a lot of comedy, so I know a bunch of the raunchy jokes. I know a lot of them that come out. But this was like super apparent. It was almost like Ghostbusters. I'm not even joking. Same writer, so it makes sense. To where I saw everything coming from a mile away. Not plot-wise, joke-wise. And that's not good for your comedies. I want to be surprised. I want to be caught off guard. That's the whole excitement that you receive from comedies. The same way with horror movies. You do not want to see anything coming. You just want to see it happen in front of you, catch you off guard, and catch you either in a laugh or scare or cry or whatever. That's what makes a great movie. But this film is lazy. I felt like no one was trying. It just felt like a throwaway movie. And what pisses me off, and you know what? Good for Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They're about to have the top 2 movies of the weekend. They're a couple in real life. But it just pisses me off that this is going to be number 2 this weekend because it's Mother's Day weekend. They knew what they were doing when they made this because they were going to poise it right in this weekend. I did not like this movie whatsoever. I would probably give this movie a D only because the supporting characters actually made it for me. And even like their characters were very one note and they were very basic. No one was really developed that well. So I it's whatever. I don't even want to look into that. But the supporting characters, at least they made me like kind of grin a couple times. And Wanda Sykes did make me laugh out loud once. So I will give her that. But it's one of those weird scenarios, Joel, where the supporting cast did way better than the main cast. And I personally did not find it funny. Like I said, I thought the raunchy stuff, the dark stuff didn't work well at all. I would skip it. I gotta be honest with you. Even as a rental, I still wouldn't watch it. It's just, when you see what Amy Schumer did with Trainwreck going to this, it's pretty fucking embarrassing. And it's also really embarrassing for Jonathan Levine as well, because I would consider 50-50 one of the best movies of the decade. I would actually put it that high. But when you see this, you know that there's talent in there. But I think 20th Century Fox basically just wanted to pump out the fastest garbage they could. And luckily, Joel and I saw a better 20th Century Fox movie this week besides Snatch. I did not care for it. D, don't care to see it ever again. But I want to know what you guys think for sure. Joel, after me telling you all this, does it entice you to see it even more now?
Yes. No.
Okay.
I mean,
there you go.
I missed it. I actually, even with this reaction, if I had not been really, really, really super busy last night, which is, of course, Thursday night, I probably would have simply because I don't have to pay for those tickets, like I said earlier, so I wouldn't have felt as guilty. It doesn't look very good. I will probably still rent it, but that's in an effort to keep up with a lot of wide releases. I will say, box office wise, we're not going to get super into box office results because you can't really predict anything with Thursday night estimates. But it made 675,000 this last night, and I think that that's going to exponentially with Mother's Day weekend. People are going to be seeing this, and you're right, it's probably going to be number 2. And it did in terms. It's interesting because with what I've found is with Thursday night preview estimates, what you have to look at them as is a percentage rather than a success story. And so it's interesting because while this made less money last night than King Arthur, it actually did better relative to its budget, and just slightly. But nevertheless, it's going to be number 2. You're right. It doesn't look very good. I have to wonder if possibly, Amy Schumer just generally finds success writing her own material. That might be part of it, and maybe she doesn't play well just kind of trying to be scripted funny with somebody else's material. Maybe there might have been some of this was ad-lib too, of course, but nevertheless, it'll be interesting. I'll catch it on Blu-ray, I'm sure, one night, but it won't be high on my list.
Just 2 quick things, and I don't want to ever bring this movie up ever again, but one, you get to see Amy Schumer's tit, so if you guys were hoping to see some Amy Schumer action, that's what you get. I will not tell you the context, but that is a thing. She actually shows her tit. Second thing, I also found it kind of weird that this was a comedy when this is actually a problem in South America and stuff, and kidnappings and sexual assaults and sex slavery. It was just I think that was the other thing that kind of irked me. It's I'm not some social justice warrior, but I'm not oblivious. I am fully well aware of child slavery and child sex trafficking and stuff and kidnapping. And it's just, I don't know, when you watch the movie, excuse me, I sneezed because Snatched was just not wanting to come out of my mouth. But yeah, it felt really weird to watch it. Knowing that this stuff is actually real and this actually happens. So I don't know, Joel, would that kind of irk you if you saw a comedy, that was set in South America, that had kidnapping, and that this is kind of an issue? If you saw a comedy about this that kind of made it really kind of a light situation, would that kind of turn you off a bit?
It does, and I'm sort of reminded of that movie 30 Minutes or Less.
Oh, yeah.
The Jesse Eisenberg, who was it?
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz Ansari, yeah. And that one was based on a real live tragic event that happened, and it was this, funny comedy. And when they make fun of this stuff, it's, I'm not particularly, as you call it, a social justice warrior either. But somebody called this movie Snatched white privilege the movie, which I hate just throwing that label on something. But it seems fairly accurate here because they're making light of a horrible situation, and it does seem irresponsible. And anyway, I'll certainly find that out more in context when I see it. But all right, so I know that you never want to talk about that again. So I have 2 reviews to give you guys.
Yeah.
I saw the 2 other wide releases of the week. And the first one is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Now, Joel, would you say after watching the movie that you felt the power to go to a random rock to try to pull a sword out of? Would you say that you were encouraged to do it?
I felt like I suddenly turned into Charlie Hunnam.
Oh shit! No. Are you banging 5 chicks tonight? Damn! You morphed into this sex guy. What did you drink some magic potion? Because I want some. Damn!
I'm gonna search for the lost city of Z now.
Exactly.
But no. So this is from director Guy Ritchie. I will just come out and say it. I don't have much of a history with this guy's filmography. Literally, I've seen Sherlock Holmes, and I've seen Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, and that's it. He,
Boo.
yeah, no, I also skipped The Man from U.N.C.L.E. This is his fourth uh, big budget entertainment or blockbuster attempt, I should say, um, in a row. And this one is an origin story of the most unnecessary kind because we all know where King Arthur comes from. Um, and this is sort of a magical, mystical take on it. It's about his upbringing. Well, really about his heritage and his versus his upbringing, if you will. He was born into royalty, but then through his parents being murdered, he was sort of sent away, Moses-like, to a life of peasantry, or whatever that word is. And so, of course, he grows up and he sort of gravitates toward the sword of the title and is able to pull it out of the rock in which it is very, very sturdily stuck. Nobody else can take it out because they are not worthy. He is worthy, much like Thor. In fact, I think Thor was probably largely, or at least that part of Thor's, being able to lift his hammer was largely influenced by this. And man, this movie is such a weird series of contradictions of itself. So first off, the story here is completely like everything that's going to happen. Like even if you don't know King Arthur's legend, if you have half a brain, you're going to be able to predict what happens before it happens in this movie. That's how predictable it is. So it's completely disinterested from actually telling this story in an interesting way. And the reason that that's a contradiction is because this movie is like so forcefully edited. It's like it's rushing through all of the material. Yet at the same time, another contradiction, it's also moving at a sluggish pace. I know that none of this is making sense so far, listeners, but this is how the movie is. It's so weird. So Charlie Hunnam plays King Arthur. Completely dull performance, especially in light of Lost City of Z. It's his cardboard, his block of cardboard kind of is back from Pacific Rim, and it's just not a good performance. And then Jude Law plays his uncle, who is of course evil. I have no problem slightly sort of kind of spoiling that for people. People are going to know it. It's basically in the trailer, and he commits to the performance. I like Jude Law. He commits to the performance. The problem is that the character is completely uninteresting. There's nothing going on with him other than one note evil, and it wastes Eric Bana, who plays the father. And another thing about Jude Law, he plays a character named Vortigern. So I guess if your life desire was to see a movie in which a character was named Vortigern, this is the movie for you. Nevertheless, it's bad, and I haven't even gotten to the main reason why.
Oh,
So,
dear God.
the main reason why. The reasons. One, the script is just dead air, like the entire time. It just reiterates plot points, and then reiterates them again, and then again, and again, and again, until the end. And it's 126 minutes long, so it does that for more than 2 hours. But the worst thing about this movie, and I really hope that anybody who decides to see this movie on Saturday and Sunday does not see it in 3D. Okay, I'm not a big 3D guy in general. I think that it's pointless to wear sunglasses in a movie theater, and I think it's pointless to watch a movie where 20% of the brightness is dimmed for no reason. It doesn't give well, in the best cases it sometimes gives, but in most cases it doesn't really give the illusion of depth. However, I believe that this movie is a post-conversion process 3D movie. I didn't do my research into that, but I'm pretty sure it is, because it seems like much of the imagery it's not really native 3D. So I think that they probably went in and added some little CGI stuff to the shots. So here's the problem though. 3D darkens the image by 20%, and if it did that to this movie, it would be basically unintelligible. Um, Much of the movie is cast in blue-gray, in a blue-gray color sheen that eventually becomes so dark that if this was in 3D, it would make Aliens versus Predator Requiem look like it was filmed in a room with literally every light on. That's how dark it is at the end. You can barely tell what's going on because of the camera work, which kind of zigs and zags through. Because okay, so the sword can slow time. It's basically Prince of Persia, and um, Prince of Persia, the visual effects in those scenes were masterful compared to this. Um, and so during the slow time thing, yes, Guy Ritchie employs his usual the sort of the Zack Snyder-esque, kind of quick cut action with a lot of forced slow motion in the middle. It's slow motion, then it's really quick, then it's slow, then it's really quick. That kind of thing, and it's just awful. And then, I mean, he plays. He has a big final battle scene with the villain of the movie, who has essentially turned into a bargain bin Sauron from Lord of the Rings, in visual effects and in concept, because it's just bad, and it's again that weird stop smash cut, like, oh my gosh, it's just kind of hard to describe it without telling you go see the movie, because I don't want you to go see the movie, so don't find out. But it's just really bad, and I mean, a couple of interesting things are the score, which is very it's by Daniel Pemberton, who has done a lot of good work in the past, but it's interesting because in theory the score should work. It's very 300-esque. It's very thrashing and loud and exciting, but it seems like they edited to the score, which is interesting to note because, again, it feels like it's also going at a sluggish pace through the story, and it's just really weird. A couple interesting shots. They shoot from the shoulders sometimes into the characters' faces, which gives an interesting feel during a chase scene at one point. A couple of the visual effects work, but mostly the visual effects are bad. Not even flaky, but bad visual effects. They are plastic and rubbery, and they look like a PS3 cutscene, an early PS3 cutscene. And it's a bad, boring, dull movie that is a big fall down from, in terms of the summer from Guardians last week. It's kind of joyless and completely generic. And this is supposed to apparently be a 6-film series. Warner Brothers was probably smoking whenever they described it. All of the employees in the entire building were. That's what I'm thinking is when that decision was made. But it's not going to happen because this movie's going to fail. And how I know that is it made $1.15 million last night, which is, and I did the math on this because I said that it was down to percentages. So I literally did a percentage of its $175 million budget, and it's 0.6% of the budget it made back last night, which you can't really do a lot of predicting with that stuff. But I mean, it's probably going to be like number 4 or 5 or something this week. It's going to crack the top 5 by virtue of being open in so many theaters, but it's not going to do well. And anyway, and I forgot to give my grade. It's a D+. A couple interesting flourishes here and there, but not enough to raise it above that level. And it was kind of depressing. So that's my grade for King Arthur: The Legend of the Sword is a D+. So, are you going to run out to see it tonight, Chase?
No. Moving on. Listen, because I told Joel I was going to try to catch you and whatnot, but I had some car issues this week, and I've been so swamped with, just money and all that stuff. I was like, do I really want to spend $12 on this movie? And I was like, Joel, are you going to watch it? Yep. I ain't going to watch it. I'm good. So, I think Joel definitely needs to watch, like, earlier Guy Ritchie stuff. I love Snatch. That is definitely one of my favorites of his. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is really good. A lot of people do really enjoy Rock and Roll. I've never seen it. I enjoy Sherlock and Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows. I mean, they're fine. Never saw The Man from U.N.C.L.E. But Guy Ritchie's kind of doing this, like, you're right, like, all four of these, like, kind of look the same. Like, they're kind of like this bleak, kind of gray, looking type of film. It looks bland, it looks boring. Like, it seems to be the running theme in all of his modern stuff. And I want him to go back to, like, that nitty-gritty to where he literally has, like, a minimal budget, and he has to work with what he's got. And I think he'll really kind of make a movie like a Snatched or his other works if he's kind of restricted with budget and whatnot. So I'm not personally a fan of when Guy Ritchie does the bigger stuff. I like when he does the smaller stuff, but I have no fucking desire to watch this.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I felt like it looked good from the trailers, and that's why I learned that a long time ago with I think Battle Los Angeles was kind of the first really good teaser that spawned basically Satan. And I learned then, not to put so much stock into trailers, just because they're really good ads, or really well edited ads most of the time. And I felt like it looked fun, but they were basically just using a lot of the quick editing style that was deceptive. That's shared by the movie, and it's a bad one. All right, so the last review of the evening that I have for you guys is The Wall. This movie is from director Doug Liman, who directed The Bourne Identity, Edge of Tomorrow, Jumper, which was kind of his poor one. Fair Game was really good. This one is a sniper drama set in the immediate aftermath of the Iraq War. In 2007, and it stars primarily Aaron Taylor Johnson as the spotter for John Cena, who plays the sniper on the American side. They have been overseeing for 20 hours a laid to waste scene at the laying of a pipeline, where a lot of dead bodies are, and they are making sure that there's nobody else there. And they've been doing it for 20 hours. They feel like, this is really annoying. We got to leave. Got to be doing something else. And so I'm going to set this up without giving too much away. So y'all are fine to trust me when I say that I'm not going to give much away here. But and in fact, actually, some of what I will say may be intentional misdirection. So because there are a lot of little sly surprises in this narrative, as much as it might not seem like there is, because it's a very minimalist movie. But without telling you any of the context, John Cena is not in this movie for very long, let's just say. So through that, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is forced behind a wall, which, ironically enough, and then I'm not going to finish that sentence. So he's behind this wall, and he is facing down with an Iraqi sniper, an insurgent, who has gained entry into his earpiece somehow, and he is taunting him and tormenting him on a psychological, kind of a philosophical level too. And so the movie is essentially about kind of here's how I took it. It's the whole conflict of the so-called war on terror sort of explored in microcosm because of the fundamental differences between these two people, the American spotter and the Iraqi sniper. And so, of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is carrying the movie. We see him. We never see the Iraqi sniper. We hear him. And we see from his perspective a couple of times, but we never see him. I will say, though, that the actor who voices him, Laith Nakili, is amazing here. It's probably going to go down as one of the best voice performances of the year. And it's just a really effective, minimalist, tight, tense movie uh, that utilizes its location incredibly well, much like Free Fire did recently. Less effectively overall as a movie, but nevertheless, in terms of that, it really does control itself quite well. It's a well-contained story, but it gets into its characters' heads really well. Um, Again, I've actually intentionally misdirected you in a couple of parts here, listeners. I know that I'm not supposed to lie. This is not me intentionally lying. It's just, kind of preserving some of the surprises in story because there are some minor surprises in the story, and I can't really go further than what is literally 25, 30-minute mark of this movie. There's still an hour to go after that, and it's quite effective. Aaron Taylor Johnson is really solid here. He's having to, support the movie on his shoulders. We're the person he sees for essentially, 60 minutes probably of screen time in this 88-minute movie. 81-minute movie. And it's a really good performance. But John Cena, at some point in the movie, gets a moment of such grueling physical performance that, like, it's on the level, and Chase is going to be like, what? It's on the level of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant when he is crawling away from his grave. Remember that scene? And yeah, this one is just as good. It's just as grueling because of the slow motion of the movement. Not the slow motion of the camera, the slow motion of the character's movement. And I'm not going to reveal any more about what I mean there, but it's a great performance from him, but it's very deceptive because, again, he's not on camera for a lot of this. And then I've already covered Nikili. He's incredible. So really three pretty great performances here. It's a very bitter, dark movie that does not compromise. This is not a movie, let's say, with the happiest of endings, but it is a good film, and it is very tight, tense. It has a lot to say about this conflict through very small measures. So, not great cinema, but it is intense, and I'm going to be giving The Wall a B. I do not have any sort of box office information about it. The update that I read didn't include it. It's not a very wide release this week, so it probably isn't going to do well, but I can't imagine it costs very much. So, and I don't have that information either. So, anyway, but I'm hoping it does find some success, on its own terms. Whether or not it's in the top 5, I can't imagine it would be, but whatever the case, I'm really hoping people make their way out to see this. I know that Chase is having money issues. I would hope that he would at least rent this down the line because it is a good movie. So I'm giving The Wall a solid B.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see this movie for quite a while, and I actually saw the first one to come out this year, another kind of war film based on one person in one location, which was Mine with Armie Hammer, and so that was a really good one. So I was excited to see The Wall. Just couldn't get around to it, but yeah, I definitely want to rent it down the line because I love me some Aaron Taylor Johnson for sure. After seeing Nocturnal Animals from last year, I just cannot look at him the same, but that just, that's how effective he was in his performance. So he's a very good actor for sure. And I said this once and I'll say it again, John Cena will be the next Dwayne Johnson. It's going to happen. Get ready for it. He's going to have his first lead performance at the end of the year with an animated voice as the animated Ferdinand Bull. So, I mean, he's coming. He's coming. It's going to be him and Dwayne, both at the top. And I think, like you said, this is kind of like one of those smaller films to kind of let him sink his teeth into something like this so we can kind of see where he's going to take his career. But, yeah, The Wall for sure, I'm excited for it. And the fact that you gave it a B is really, really promising. So, yeah, I will definitely rent it. And it sounds like you guys should check it out, too.
Oh, yeah. And I will say, like, I made a lot of the physical moment of John Cena's performance, but otherwise, other than that part, he's also really good elsewhere. And I didn't want to, undersell that. He gives a really good performance when he is on screen, and outside of that physical moment. But yeah, all right, that's basically it, guys. We didn't see the same movies. We're also recording this on Friday, so there are no box office results until tomorrow, and those are just the Friday estimates. So that's pretty much it. Chase, where can we find you on the internet?
You guys can find me at Twitter at RealChaseLee. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to get video content if you want to see my face, my lovely, greasy, acne-filled face. I'm just kidding. But yeah, all that is down below, so if you guys want to follow me elsewhere, you can do that.
All right, and then you can follow me at Copling_Joel. And then I'm on my own website, joelonfilm.com. I write pretty consistently there. I'm also, Chase and I both are reviewers for Dallas Movie Screenings, which is the official, this is the official podcast of. And let's see, I also occasionally write for podcastingthemsoftly.com. Go check out that website, guys. It's awesome. And then, that's kind of my internet signature. I'm on Letterboxd as well. If you search my name, everybody should join that site because it's a really great movie logging website and social network experience. So yeah, that's pretty much the show, guys. I think that next week, like Chase said, I'm going to be alone. I'm not really going to be alone. I'm going to be alone in terms of co-hosts because Chase is going out of town. He's leaving me for the weekend for his girlfriend.
I know it's one of those weird things where like I have to cheat on Joel just for a weekend, and then they don't come back, and then we're going to hold hands and skip down the beach together. But until then, I have to, Joel. You know that I have to balance between both of you. I mean, so I have to go see her for a little bit, and then I can come see you.
Absolutely, I'll be reviewing Alien Covenant. We'll have Graham on again. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've locked that down. It'll be on Sunday as usual. So Sunday the 21st. And I think then Chase will be back the following week. We'll be talking Baywatch and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. So I'm looking forward to talking Alien Covenant with Graham. Chase and I have already talked to each other about it. It's really good. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being such devoted listeners to our little podcast here. And y'all have a great week. Peace.
Yeah, and just real quick before I play the outro music, since I'm not going to be on next week's show, and if you are curious about my Alien Covenant thoughts, I did already post my YouTube review. So if you just go down below, click the YouTube channel, it will take you right to there. That is my last review I did. So go check that out if you want to know my thoughts. But Joel is right. Get ready for a good discussion because it's a damn good movie. So let's play the outro music. See you guys. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and Joel will see you next week. Bye-bye.